Today I want to talk about toxic relationships. It seems that have you ever wondered and sat back and thought about how come it seems like I'm attracting the same people, and then you say things like, no, I'm just into bad girls. No, I'm just into bad boys. That's just who I am. That's just what I seem to be attracting. But you don't want it. You don't want to attract these sort of people. So the question is, what do you do? Is it that, the way they say, like, opposites attract, but then sometimes toxic begets toxic. Is that the situation you're in? Today's show will help you debunk that. CJ Atembo is not with us. We hope he's doing well. Otherwise, he's chosen not to be in this toxic Manchester United environment. However, let's jump into it. Shaz, is that what happens? Is it that over time, you're sort of attracted to the same person, especially even if they're bad for you?
It depends, honestly, on how you've really grown up. Because a lot of people don't realize a lot of your beliefs are set from when you're a child, because you don't know what else to believe. So when you grow up with a narcissistic parent or manipulative parents or parents that are just not lovingly available to you, that are not nurturing, that are not wholesome, and they don't teach you how to be a confident, well-groomed child, you tend to believe that you're not worth more. If you grow up watching parents fighting, hitting each other, screaming all the time, not able to have conversations, for you that's very normal. You grow up thinking, this is my world. And you grow up being the child that's unseen and unheard. And then when you grow into your teenagehood, and sometimes you go to your friends' houses, and you're like, wait a minute, my friend's parents are different. My friend is growing up different. Our households are different. I am different. But because you've suppressed that emotion, you've put it into the subconscious, because you don't know as a child what to do with all of that. You consciously cannot make sense of it. So it's suppressed in your subconscious mind. You're just picking little information from everyone, seeing that's normal, this is normal, am I normal? And then in your 20s or your early teens, you start to want to date people that are just going to replicate what happened growing up.
So do you do this consciously, or
It's completely unconscious, because you don't know better. You don't know that there's a different environment. You don't know I'm supposed to heal. You don't know what a healthy relationship looks like. You don't know that there are children that grow up very, very secure, and this is how they behave. This is the kind of love they look for. My father treated me so well. He respected me, treated me like a princess. So he's taught me. He's talked to me in my childhood. This is how you treat a woman. This is how you look for a man. So I've grown up with that blinker. But for people who haven't had that, they kind of have this blinker on that says, I'm wounded, I'm broken, and I sort of have this void inside. Hopefully you will come fill it. And when you look at toxic relationships, I think the most work you can do, the most healing, the most growth you can ever have in your life is from a toxic relationship. But it's kind of like you're this wound and you're looking for another wound. So it's like two toxic cells coming together, and they're both going to be toxic. But then also when I look at the word toxic, I feel now that word, like red flags, is so easy. You're toxic, I'm good. You're the bad one, I'm the good one.
Yeah.
But I feel we all have toxic traits inside of us. We've all behaved toxic, whether conscious or unconsciously. But at the end of the day, it's looking at, if I'm with someone that manipulates me, brings me down, if I'm in a relationship where I feel I've lost myself, I'm depressed, I'm waking up upset, that's your blinker that it's time for you to heal. That's your blinker. It's your soul saying, now it's time for you to grow. The person you're with isn't there yet, unless they are. But it's not that they're this evil, toxic person, even though they can manipulate you, gaslight you, be the most narcissistic person. It's that nobody's understood where they have come from also, and maybe your soul is growing and theirs hasn't reached there yet.
Right.
But I think the first thing to be able to evaluate is not that it's I'm on the good side, you're on the bad side, even if you've been through pain. It's that they are that wounded child. Because I've sat with grown men and women who, to the public, will be the most narcissistic, toxic people, but they choose they want to heal. And even if they haven't realized they want to heal, when you go deep into their story, you can now understand now I get you are the way you are, but I still have the freedom to now walk away because our journeys no longer align.
Right. Right. And Bobby, we talked about that, learning and learning, you know.
I'm just so happy.
This is the effect. You see, it's the Manchester.
So this is just Roberta's smile.
It's rubbing off on you, right?
Okay.
You support Manu.
Apana.
The right answer is yes.
Good answer.
Anyway.
Guy.
Manipulation.
That was a clear example of manipulation, folks.
I'm on Willis' side today.
Yes. Thank you very much. So now, you've talked about it before, how there are things that, you know, as you progress in life, you have to learn and unlearn. And she's also mentioned something that is mentioned a lot. I say, these days, that's the red flag. People decide what the red flag is. There are, of course, the general ones, but I guess to every individual, based on, like you said, where you grew up, or how you grew up, that's the red flag. So how does one recognize that, okay, I think this is a toxic space?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something Shazmin has said before is that, okay, let me just start with what she said just now. When you're in a situation, if you've not lived outside or if you've not watched from outside, it's very difficult to see that you're toxic or what you're doing is not right, because that's your normal. That's what's normal for you. It's until, like, especially as someone who grew up in chaos and is just starting to heal with my family, I can tell the difference saizi nezaona because I've been in it and now I'm out of it. So how I did that is, I guess, exposure, like just being outside and being around other people. And something Shazmin said is that relationships aren't supposed to be perfect and happy and bubbles and unicorns and all that, cookies falling from the sky. I mean, that's good, but good relationships, they trigger you. They trigger you and you get bothered, and those are the learning points. In any relationship you're in, whether it's with your mom or with your friends or with your lover, the point where you feel triggered about something, that's you being told that something is wrong and you need to either work on it or listen to yourself more or do something. And this happens very beautifully, especially in amazing relationships, in healthy relationships. Because when you're on the page where you want to do better and to grow and to be better, you start to recognize toxic traits and you're able to say, oh, wow, I feel jealous when you do this, and I can just communicate about it. I don't have to be passive-aggressive or to be avoidant or to ignore you and give you the silent treatment.
So it's not identifying it and
yes. Yes. That's what healthy relationships do to you, and that's how you learn to grow, and that's how you stop being avoidant and you start dealing with things. So I think my notion before was that if I see a red flag or a toxic trait, that's it. I'm done. I'm not dealing with you. You're a liar. But now I'm learning that it's okay to talk about things, and it's okay to fix things, and it's okay to listen to each other and come to a space where you recognize these things in each other. And when you get out of the toxicity and you get into healthy relationships, you start to see it's not at easy relationships, healthy ni different, ati amtakosana, ama you guys won't fight each other. It's just that now you know better. So when you're triggered, you're able to see, I did something wrong, or maybe I should talk about it more, or maybe this could go this other way, other than just wanting to avoid the situation and ignore. And that's how you notice my red flags. It's by being in relationships, having friends, going out there, talking to other people, exposing yourself to other things, and not just sitting in the comfort of familiarity of what you're used to. Because when you grow up in chaos, that becomes your new normal. That's what feels safe. That's what is familiar to you. And that's why you attract the same cycles over and over again. It's not that you attract bad things or bad people. It's that when these things happen, you don't notice them because now they're normal to you. But when you're in a state that you're willing to grow and improve yourself, now then when you notice it, you're willing to fix and do better. So I'd say you need to realize that healthy relationships, that's what they do to you. They trigger you. They trigger those points where you need to work on yourself and you need to just to work on the other person as well, and your relationship.
And there are people who shut up, boy.
Yeah, man.
They don't want to, because it's like, I mean, I think I said sometime last week that some of this stuff, it's hard work. It's not as simple as, yeah, this is my trait, this is it, niko sawa. Like it's actually hard work. But there are people who, their response is that, it's flight. They don't want to stay and fight in this case is talk through it, fight yourself and your impulses and what you've known since you're born. Kuna watu wenye ni kushtiep.
Mi kwa hivyo. But they say I'm just like.
Yeah, it's just who I am. And some people say, you know how they say, be honest in the beginning of the relationship. So in the beginning of the relationship, people will be like, so these are the things I won't take. These are my deal breakers.
Yes.
If I see a red flag,
Amara here.
So how do you deal with something like that where, you know, it's natural. Look, if a lion comes in here, you'll definitely want to run.
Self-preservation.
So you're trying to keep safe.
All right. First of all, you guys look amazing.
Oh,
all of
thank
you.
you.
Thank you very much.
I haven't seen you guys for a long time. I've just been here. It's me and CJ. You guys ghost me. So I'm with CJ alone. This one is saying he's catching flight somewhere. I'm calling Roberta and she's like, Shadona, what is these people now? So, like a month.
Shaz is in Dubai.
Yeah, Shaz is in Dubai. I've just been here.
Yes.
When are we meeting? Why have I seen these guys? But at least now I see you.
Yeah.
CJ has decided Liverpool will distract him. But we shall meet.
Yes.
Tutapatana, si ndio?
Kabisa.
Nimesikia poa sana kuwaona.
Asante.
It's been feeling like,
Yeah.
you see those cheat days at gym?
Yes.
Like you say, Anta come. You tell the instructor, I'll show up tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes.
And you don't.
You've been doing that to me. It's a very important sessions that we get here.
Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
And on national TV, we're supposed to have lunch together.
Yeah. We'll nail down the date.
More fun. Before we leave this place.
Yes.
I don't know. I had to bring that up. I just don't want to be around toxicity. You know?
I like it.
Whole life. So, you know what you're saying? Why someone would choose to step is because change has to come from within. No one can change you. They can only highlight things, then you have to decide whether you want to change or not. There are people, you see, like today I was analyzing, and I told myself, in the ghetto, toxicity is part of life. Like you grow around a toxic environment, and it's normal that if you are to buy yourself a nice shirt like this one, it is not normal for me to compliment you. I'll give you a negative compliment, and you have to take it. It's normal. Yes, I like, umeamua kuturingia. That means umevaa vizuri. Yes. You know? So it's not easy for someone like that to realize what is toxicity. When they have grown up and gone to a new environment, now they have a spouse or a partner, and this partner is telling them, by the way, this is wrong. It's because you are flipping this person's life. They do not know totally what you're talking about. And the first reaction, just like you said, self-preservation, is they will think you want to change me. Why? Why do you want to change me? You came into this relationship, I was like this. So why are you telling me to change? You know? So in such a situation, there's nothing you can do. You have to let these people change for themselves. You will show them that by the way you can enjoy life. Do you know there are people that believe they're not supposed to enjoy life? Like life is supposed to be hard. And there are people that will leave you for being good. In a relationship, this girl is too nice for me.
Too good.
Something must be wrong. She's too nice. You know? Because they have never seen life like that. It has never been told to them that it can be. You know? You're used to so much pain that you refuse, you forget you can enjoy life. And the moment someone starts bringing that to you, you think they're baiting you to something else, which is even worse. So what you do is you run away from good things. You keep spoiling good things that come your way until the day you sit down and just change happens, just like an addict. You are addicted to that separation. But one day, change will come when you decide, by the way, this life, I'm supposed to enjoy this life, just like any other person. And from there, now you start working towards it, when it is self-driven and self-motivated, not when it is... I always say an implosion is better than an explosion. When ideas are coming from you, when that urge and need to change is coming from you, is better than when it's coming from someone else. What that other person needs, if they have already established it, that this person has grown up, you know, I will not leave you because you're toxic first. I will try to understand why are you toxic. Is it a creation of your own? Have you decided to be toxic to people, either as a mechanism to protect yourself, or did you grow up like this? If I realize it's a growth thing, that this is how you are nurtured, like you had parents that punished mistakes instead of correcting mistakes, you know, instead of punishing rebellion, they were punishing mistakes that they were ought to correct you. When I get to learn those things, then I can work with you, because I will realize you don't know. This was done to you, you know. But if it gets to a point that it is you that has decided to be toxic, there's a difference now of overlooking a flaw and overlooking a red flag, you know. And if I overlook a red flag, you will never change. You will believe it is okay to be like that, because Shat has accepted me like this, you know, and it is a red flag. I need to highlight it. You need to work on it, and if you want, then I'll step. It is that simple. Yeah, man.
Conditionally. But just you talked about, I was thinking about it as well. You talked about growing up. There are people who say that, you know, I thank my dad for the way they were. They were not good, but they taught me how, I learned from them how not to be. So you say, you kind of reverse it, like, okay, this is wrong. This is a toxic environment, so I don't want this. So then I'll be good. So is that, how can I say it? Is it positive toxicity?
I turn around and I say to people, when you grew up with an alcoholic parent, when you grew up with abusive parents, when you grew up with narcissistic parents, what part of your life can you be grateful that they played the villain so you could grow up to learn how to be a hero? Because when you see that in a parent, many children grow up saying, I'll never do that. I'll never be like my mom. I'll never be like my dad. I feel people who go through a harder life, you have a chance to take your story back. But many people live life in the review mirror. With my past, you're going to crash. There's no way you can achieve anything in life if you're looking back. But it's about taking your story back and saying, this is my story, but I've let you be the main character for so long. Now that you were the main character, what can I learn from the way I grew up, the things that hurt me, and how can I make that something that's beyond me, but a gift to give other people, a healing for other people? I feel when we suffer because it's all about us. Everything happened to me. Life was wrong. I got dealt the wrong cards. And suffering and pain is different. Suffering is when you make life everything I cannot get out of. It's like, you know, that sticky mud. But pain is an option. Pain is something I don't need to run from. Pain is something I need to be able to sit and feel. Pain is something I need to be able to acknowledge. But then I need to be able to take what happened to me and learn how to be a better human being, because I can choose today to be the person that hurts others, be the victim, or be a light in somebody else's life because of what I went through. And I say it because I've lived it, I've understood. You can let your story, you can let your abuse break you, or you can turn around and say, this is for something better. But I've also seen we can take someone that's toxic, we label them, we put them in the corner. But people can change. And I think sometimes the wrong relationship brings out the right change. And I think sometimes the right relationship also will bring out the wrong things inside of you, so you can finally deal with what you have to deal with. And it's like cutlery. When you put cutlery together, it's going to make noise. And that's two people's different traumas, two people's different wounds coming together. And sometimes in a relationship, you're fighting because it's like, my inner child needs attention now, but you're behaving like the child because your inner child needs it. And that's why you learn to dance in a relationship. And you learn the patterns of your partner. But it's not also just about being in a relationship and they are your project. You're with someone to change. Someone should be able to see, okay, I want to change. I can see what's going on in life. I can see I'm being negative. I can see I'm bringing Shatta down. I can see this behavior is robbing him of who he deserves to be. So I think it's also having blinkers on to say, we all come with red flags, all of us. I love how we're like, you have a red flag, I'm a green flag. Nah.
You!
Yeah, we all have red flags. It's, do you want to change your red flags, and I can change mine as well, and we learn how to balance it? Or are you going to choose to be the red flag, and now I recognize you're not my project. I can't focus on changing you. I need to be able to work on me, and that's why I'll choose to walk away from this relationship. And that's why I'm so with exes coming back, because I believe people can heal. Everyone can heal if they want to heal. Trauma isn't who you are. You're not a survivor of it, you're a thriver of it. But it's the way you look at it. And I think stopping the notion of, stopping that in a relationship
But isn't
immediately.
that how most people I don't know if it's because I believe there's a time when, first of all, people are not talking about it. So at least nowadays, people talk about it. People talk about the things that are happening, right?
Yeah.
And then it gets to a point where now, all of a sudden, what are you guys doing? I'm looking at people talking about how, thank you very much, all of you. That is Kaburu. Thank you so much for saying I look very nice and decent. However, I must also say Shatta also looks nice and decent.
Yes.
Yeah, and they are called locks, not dreadlocks. Dread is what the colonialists used to call them, to make you fear. So it is locks. And locks are good, but
Don't dread them.
don't dread them. And I'm still a rasta upon the heart, man.
Yeah,
You know this. Anyway, Asante Ibra. Okay, so there is this other thing, like I'm saying, yes, we're talking about it, but in talking about it, I feel there's also a lot of superficial kind of dealing with issues, whereby you say, okay, sawa, like she was saying, you are the red flag, and Mimi, if it's red, I'm out. Red flag, red card, I'm out. So how do you, because you said you need to get to a point where you say that, you know what, I am causing Bobby harm, I'm causing Shatta harm. How do you realize, how do you sit and realize, okay, Harper, the problem
Is me.
Yeah, how do you do that?
Introspection ni muhimu.
Yeah.
And it's not an easy thing to do, and it's not easy to accept that, you know, you have flaws or you have red flags as well, or that you can be toxic to someone else. And it takes a lot. Like, even for me, you see, for me, the thing is, how I've done it is that I've created an environment for myself with my friends and everyone basically I talk to, where communication is made really, really easy. So it's very easy for my brother to tell me, you know, I didn't like how you spoke to me, or for my mom to tell me, I didn't like how you reacted when I said this. And it's very difficult, but I've made it this way because I'm at a spot where I want to learn and I want to grow. And it's not as easy to recognize these things on my own. So I wouldn't say that it's something that, you know, you just grow up knowing or something. Like, it takes a lot of work and introspection and growth. Like, ni kazi mingi, like you said, it's so much work and it's so much that you put into it. And something that is, I don't want to use the word unfortunate, but unfortunately, it's like a switch that happens within you. It's one day you just wake up and you start to see things differently, but you have to seek it out. You have to be at a spot where you're willing and able to listen to other people and to hear them out.
Is this a day you wake up after a lot of experiences?
Yeah, it can be.
Trenches.
Yeah, it can be, maybe you've gone through something. Because for me I think what prompted my growth is like the depression that I went through. And I started researching, what is this feeling I feel? Nini ni shimo kwa chest yenye nikisimama nataka tu kuanguka. Ama nikiwa tao nasikia tu kukaa kwa floor nilie. You know, I wasn't really understanding because I didn't have knowledge on depression. I didn't know like mental illness was something. I just thought, waenda ndio uko na hizo mashi. Sorry to use that word, sorry. But I'm using it for the correlation for you guys to understand. You know, you think people with mental illness are some sort of people who belong in some place. And then I started going through all these things, and that prompted me to research. It prompted me to want to understand, why is it that sina appetite? I'm unable to keep a conversation without busting into tears, or I'm unable to hear things that hurt my feelings. So it's in the research that I started to learn a lot more about myself, or why some things were happening the way they were happening. And this became like a rabbit hole. Like, I went from being depressed to now talking about such things because I have the knowledge. So it is the experience, and it is my personal experiences, the things that I've been through, and just the prompting of myself to go out there and seek information for myself. So, kitu yenye lazima ufanye ni lazima ukwe able kujibring to this. Whether it's this conversation, you're watching it from home and it prompts something within you, you want to ask yourself, okay, I'm always fighting with my boyfriend. What's the problem? Is it that we don't listen? Is it that we don't communicate? Is it that it's just a prompt within you? And what it means is, like Shatta said, it has to be an implosion. It's something that comes from within you. It's something that stems from you. You have to wake. That's why I'm saying it's like a switch. One day you just wake up and you decide you want better. It's nothing someone can tell you, or it's nothing someone can. I'm starting to learn actually that teaching people, you have to teach people by doing. You can't teach someone by telling them, Willis, don't come home late. Willis, Willis, that it becomes like nagging. If you want to show someone something, do it yourself. Teach them. Show them how it makes you feel, or it makes them feel. So you have to do. So for all this growth to come about, it has to be something that's within you. And that's how you start to recognize the red flags. It's very difficult to recognize it if you isolate yourself, if you're always on your own, because now you don't get to get the feedback. It's like how we're friends here. We're able to call each other out. We're able to say, this happened, or you did this and I did not appreciate it. It seems difficult when you're not in that space, but once you start teaching yourself and starting to understand these things, it becomes so much easier for you to learn and grow. So it's definitely a journey, but you have to prompt yourself. You have to be willing to bring yourself to the page for niko hapa, nataka kulearn, nataka kudo better.
All right. Shatta, the other thing that happens is that sometimes good things happen to bad people, and bad things happen to good people. So here is the case where you are, lack of a better word, the good one. When you say fresh, you're the one, you've gone through all of Shazmin's and now you're ready to jump into the pool again. But then, at the same time, there's somebody who feeds off light. It's like a moth. They are attracted to you, but then their main aim is not to, subconsciously or consciously, is not to get with you, it's to break you down eventually. Like, how can you have such a positive outlook on life? Do you know life? Let me show you.
You have it easy.
Yeah, man. Character development and thing. So what do you do if you in your space, you've done the work, you are the light, you are the quote-unquote good person, because you said everybody has their flaws, which is true. But you're in a good space. But then kuna mtu sasa amekuja, and you can tell this person wants to pull you down. What do you do when now abuse starts? The toxic space.
Kama kuna kitu mimi nakuaga master kwa hii dunia, is that
nikushtie.
Okay, acha niongee kilami. Tukue pamoja na Shaz.
Yeah, Kiingereza.
Okay.
If there's something I've mastered in this life, first of all, you have to be in control of things that affect you directly. Number one, if I'm the good person and I'm in a toxic relationship, I have to ask myself, what is my role in this? I have a role in it. How did I end up here? How did I allow this person into my space? What is it that I was compensating? Why? Because if clearly I am not toxic, I have worked, I have gone to all these classes, such as do this, do that, I have done all that, but again I fall. I bring the same toxicity that I was running away from, I invite it back. So what's my role in it? What am I not doing right? Why am I allowing it back? What am I telling? What is my conscience telling me? The moment you tick those boxes, the moment you answer those questions from you, then you will be able now to have a safe space and a conducive environment to have a relationship, because you will know what you don't need. But if you keep bringing in the toxicity that unakuja, inakuja, you go, you empty all it out, you come back again now, clean and fresh, you get filled up again with toxicity, you go. You see, it becomes familiarity. Your body gets familiar with that pain and that situation. And now it will live like that. It will never realize a different way of living life. You see, that's why we keep saying that you would go back to an ex, because your body understands their pain. Rather, it can digest whatever it is that you're going through with them, other than when you break up and you're having new pain that you don't know how to digest and understand, you know? So you have to ask yourself that question: what's my role in this? The moment you answer that question, now you will not be getting yourself in such situations again, because you will have known what you need and what you don't. You know?
Better boundaries.
And now Shaz amesema she's for exes coming back. You know?
Healed exes. Healed exes.
Healed exes.
Healed.
When I heard that, I was like,
Healed exes.
Force
You kill me with that thing.
I was like, yo, how do I realize this person is healed?
Yes, yeah, that's
Very good
How does this
question.
person come back?
That's actually what I was going to ask. How do you know?
How do I realize this one has healed? Because they didn't take me through a lot.
Because
I'm not going to speak like Ten Hag, but they didn't put me through that.
But life will not be about them anymore. When they come back into your life, you will feel their apology. You will know their change. You will be on guard. You will test them to the limits. But they've done so much work. They want to be a better person. Now their life is about, how can I love you? You have to remember, when people also, exes are cruel and mean, it's because I have to love me too. So no one protected me as a child. So I have learned I have to protect me first. Then inside that protection, there's toxic, abandoned, unloved, lack of self-worth. And then I'm going to try get through all of that and love you. It's not possible. And that's why when you will not attract a toxic partner anymore, the day you know what self-love and self-worth is. And people think self-love and self-worth is buying flowers, going to the spa. That is occasional self-love. If that's what you think self-love is, then you think you're sporadically deserving of your own love. But when I work with people and I say, give me one person in your life you admire, you love, you trust, and you treat so well. How do you treat them? How do you look at them? Do that to you first. Because when you are working out, when you're getting fit, there's a plan around it. The plan is, I got to get into the gym 3 to 5 times a week. Great. What else do I need to do? Probably start lifting weights. What else do I need to do? Read up on how to do this. Right. Okay, now I need to be in a calorie deficit. I need to cut out carbs and sugar. Okay, so I have 6 steps to getting into the gym to change my physical health. How do I self-love? What do I need to do every single day that when I go to bed, my self-worth is growing all the time? And when your self-worth and your self-love is practiced, you will notice when someone is lacking it. And now you will know if they're lacking it too much and it's going to dim my light, now I'm going to choose to leave. Because I already need so much energy to heal myself. I can't do it for the both of us. Maybe my healing will influence you. Maybe you'll realize I don't want to lose this person, so I will change. Or when it comes to narcissistic, manipulative people, when they start to see you're strong, you're standing up on your own, it's the biggest thing you can do, because now they realize I cannot control you anymore. So the key is, what do you do every day to practice self-love? What is your ritual? How are you beginning and ending your day where you are kind to yourself? You know, when I look in the mirror, when I go to the washroom and stuff, I look in the mirror and I go, you're cute.
Yeah.
And I do it in that tone.
Do you know there's
because I'm kind to me.
Sorry to cut you short. There's a time that when I was going through a rough patch, and this book said, look in the mirror and tell yourself you love yourself. So I went and I tried and I cried.
Yes.
I was like, it was so hard even to say it. Because you're like, what's there to love?
When do you...
In the beginning.
Right. We are so born to fill others, which is beautiful. But then you are so empty that you're filling them with negativity. You're filling them with your lack. But when you can turn around and actually say, I love you, thank you, I forgive you. There's a meditation on YouTube. It's called Ho'oponopono. It's a Hawaiian way of self-healing, when you just put that on and you listen to it, you come back into not even your heart, you come back into your soul. You realize, oh my God, I am so full, I have no choice but to want to leave my light in places. And I loved your analogy of why is a moth attracted, you know, to light. Maybe it's because something is blinking in that moth. Maybe there's a glimmer of hope in that moth when it sees you. And you are its hope, but we're so conditioned as human beings that you want to take from me. I need to preserve all of me, and I don't have enough to give you. But when you're in a place where you are so saturated with love and giving, let that moth come, because you can't break me anymore. But maybe I will break you to change now.
There are two things I want to ask. Actually, three things, because everybody mentioned something, and I put those questions in the back of my mind. So I'll start with you. And somebody's asked a question. Okay, so do you start with Alvin from Kakamega? Then I'll ask their questions. By the way, the SMS line is 22422. That is 22422. That is the SMS line. You can send in your texts, and then also you can hashtag Daybreak. Alvin from Kakamega wants to know, so how do you walk away from a toxic relationship, even when you would feel so hard, it's so hard for you to exit? Right, how do you walk away? Shatta, let's start with you. Mr. Stieb. How do you do it?
It's, well, kama imefika point you've tried your level best ya kuonesha mtu that anakuumiza na amekataa kuchange. You just have to tell yourself that you're doing it for yourself, that you have to exist beyond this person.
Even if it's hard, like he says.
It is not easy. It's never been easy to walk away.
Right.
You know, but for most people, what they do is they walk away emotionally before they physically walk away. Some people will exit from a relationship emotionally, and they no longer care about what you say or what you do. And then when they walk, you think it was easy for them to walk away. How? But they started leaving you months ago. They started preparing to leave you. You know, you just didn't know it was happening. So if you're in that situation and you feel that you've tried to speak to this person and they're not changing, you have to take the hard step. No, first of all, acknowledge that it will be painful. Your body will, just like I've just said, your body will not understand the pain it's going to feel because it is something new you're introducing it to, but it will adapt to it. If you're living for your own sake, do it. Where toka tu kama ameshindwa kubadilika, toka, feel the pain and do not ignore that pain. Na mtu asikwambie, si amesema ni Alvin, mtu asikuambie mwanaume afai feel pain. Feel that pain. Understand it. Then you will learn and grow from it. You know, that is choosing you.
Self-love.
Self-love.
Yeah, man.
True self-love.
True that.
Not you, I mean, going to this point is great.
Yeah.
But I like how you said it should not be like sporadic, kind of. I only love myself once or twice every month. How many times go to the spa? So, how do you? What are the question? Rather, what Shah said was that you know an ex has come back, a healed ex. So we're talking about how do you know when somebody has healed. And Shaz, you mentioned that you test them. Before I go to Bobby, how do you test them? You know, is there an algorithm? We've been hearing that word a lot.
They don't come back opaque.
Yeah, or they don't come back opaque. Is there? How do you know? Because even in the testing, you can get hurt.
You will test them in ways to know, do I feel safe with you or not again? So I will push you to see if you get angry. I'll push you away. I'll trigger you. I'll do whatever I can. And it's something women do sometimes in relationships as well, because they want to know, will you love all of me? The crazy me, the emotional me, the deepest feminine in me. Will you love when I get all of that? And I'm going to test you and see, will you stay or not? So it's about how you test them to see, I know how you would have reacted before. So I'm going to wait to see, are you being polite and nice? Or will you break down at some point? Because you can only mark it for so long. After that, you become who you truly are. But someone who has healed will be able to turn around and say, I see why you're doing that. This is how I hurt you. Look at where I've put you. Look at how I've made you think. You don't need to do that around me anymore. I'm sorry if this is how you are. I'm sorry this is what you're going through. that's a healed person because they care about you. They see what you're doing. It's like you put your foot in and you take it out because you're too scared to get burnt. There's such a beautiful analogy I learned. Toxic relationships or life can teach you how to be or go 3 ways. You've got the carrot, you got the egg, and you got a coffee bean. And you've got a boiling pot of hot water, which could be the toxic relationship. If you take the carrot, before you put it in the hot water, it's strong and it's firm. When you put it into hot water, it loses what it was and it becomes soggy and mushy. If you take an egg, it has a protective layer and it has life inside of it. When you put it into hot water, you boil it and you make it hard. So in both those circumstances, the hot water will take away your essence, will take away what your strength was before you went into it. But be like a coffee bean, which is what Damon West says. He says, a coffee bean put into hot water will change its environment. The hot water doesn't change the coffee bean. The coffee bean changes the water. So the point is to be the coffee bean after you've gone through a really tough relationship, and you can change your environment.
Wow. All right. Coffee bean. Right. Okay. That was that. That was. You notice how everybody was quiet.
This was not a sponsored post.
That's why we club.
Nobody was even breathing. Like, everybody was quiet. Everybody in the room. Hata nganga hapo, he whipped out his notebook. All right, I got that. All right, let's take a look at a question here. Say my partner doesn't apologize or even try to talk to me when... All right, my partner doesn't apologize or even try to talk to me if he wrongs me. He can't even start a conversation with me, so we can stay without talking to each other until I decide to start a conversation where we end up fighting because he always reminds me the mistakes I did before. Is this a toxic relationship? We have been staying together for 4 years and we have a son. So there is everything that they mentioned there. And then they have been staying together, so they're in the same house and they now have a son. Bobby, what do you...
Man.
What do you think? So first of all, is it a toxic relationship?
Definitely. When communication doesn't go both ways, it brings about chaos. And that's unfair. And I'm not going to say walk away from the situation. I just think that in such relationships, in relationships mingi zenye tunakwanga able to point out what mtu mwingine amefanya, inadequacies of the other person. He doesn't talk to me. He doesn't apologize. He doesn't. But I would like to challenge guys to start coming from a point of maybe I can do the apologizing. Maybe I can be the one to give him love till he's able to learn how to love me back. And this only applies in situations where you guys are on the same page and you want each other and you want to fix things, not in a situation where you're being abused emotionally or you're being hurt and taken for granted. I mean, maybe you're just in a situation where this person doesn't know how to communicate. They're still dealing with like avoidant ways and anxious ways of how they communicate their feelings and emotions. And it takes a while for you to start to see this about other people. You'll just think, Willis amenikasirikia niongeleshe, na pali Willis yuko analia, anataka pia wewe muongeleshe. So come from a space of what can I give more than what can I receive all the time. Be the one to initiate the conversation. Reach out, apologize, communicate. Because I said, you teach by doing, not by telling. When you keep saying, he doesn't talk to me, he doesn't talk to me, talk to me, talk to me, it becomes like you're nagging. It's like you're asking for the bare minimum. You're literally asking someone who should be communicating to communicate to you. And that's a very, that's a feeling that brings you down because it makes you feel really worthless and like you're not being valued in the relationship. So the easiest way to teach the people that you love how to love you back is by teaching them. The things that you want to receive, do them, teach them. If you want your friend to learn how to apologize to you and to stop being an avoidant, create a relationship or a space where they know it's safe for them to reach out and apologize. They know it's safe for them to reach out and talk to you. Or when you make this normal in your relationship, bit by bit, you start to see the changes and the steps and the effort. But if you come from a space of kaya fani misi fani, ama, if they don't want to talk to me, then why should I talk to them? If they don't want to apologize fast, I'm not calling him. Stop that, because when you guys make up, you realize the only problem was just a communication breakdown. Like, all you guys needed to do was pick up the phone and call them or text them and tell them how you really feel. So while it's very, very difficult, and not everyone is at your space of healing, not everyone is at your level. There's someone who knows, like for me, communication is very automatic. Right. But sometimes I get to meet people who are very avoidant, and it's not easy for them. It's not as easy as it is for me. And it's very difficult because I'll feel unloved. Ndashanga, why doesn't he want to talk to me? Why would he avoid me the whole month? But then you have to bring yourself, now that you're the one who knows better and you're the one who is out here seeking all this information yourself, you have to practice. Teach them that it's okay for them to know that it's okay to come to you. And some of these things we say here, even me, before I got to listen to Shazmin a lot more, I used to think a lot of the things she says, Nikama, they belong in utopia. It's like, therefore, it's for, you know, those people who...
Them over there.
Yeah, those people who like, they're in some way better, or they're smarter. But I realized all the situations are for everybody. They're for all of us. All of us can learn. All of us can forgive. We can communicate. Anyone can heal. It's not something that's reserved for a special group of people. It's something that you create for yourself. You start to teach yourself. And when you learn self-love, when you learn how to love yourself, you have better boundaries. You have better standards. You're able to recognize when something is toxic. You're able to recognize when something is not per the level you want it to be at. So while it's very difficult, I'd say teach your lover, your mom, your friend, your other person how to be better by being better yourself.
All right, so let's look at this other question that has come through. It says, hi, I've been trying to cope up with my girlfriend who gets angry to the extent of threatening to end her life by a knife in my presence. She almost stabbed herself in my house, not until I stopped her, and she has been repeatedly carrying the knife when she gets mad. Is this a healthy relationship to continue with? Shaz, what would you say to this man? Because he says, yeah, I've been coping with my girlfriend. So the girlfriend gets angry, threatens to end her life, almost stabbed herself, and she's still walking around with the knife.
So I would turn around and say, this is someone so wounded that they will manipulate you until you break. Because this is the only way they can keep you, is if I threaten my life, I know everything ends. I know the argument ends. I know you'll come back on your knees. I know we'll forget everything and it'll just be about me. I think if you're ever in a relationship like that, you have the toughest decision. And I think the toughest decision, honestly, is to choose you. Because they will stab them and you will die too. And I feel you've got to be able to be strong enough to walk away and say, I can't sort and help you. You need help in another way from family. You need to get therapy. You have so much you have to deal with. But you choosing every time to manipulate me when you get angry is absolutely unfair. It's not healthy. It's not toxic. You put my mind into a state of fear all the time. We can't talk. We've got a child. The child's going to grow up thinking this is normal. Your child between 0 to 5 is the most impressionable. That's when the child forms the basis of who they are. Your child is watching right now. It's okay to do what they're doing. So I'm going to tell you, get out. And the other thing I'm going to tell people that are listening, be very careful of silent people, because there are two types. There's the silent person who's silent now because they can't change the situation, so they've resigned and they're choosing to walk away. There's the silent people, like in the previous question, that are absolute manipulators. They know if I'm quiet for the 2 to 3 weeks, I will conform you, I will break you down, and you can't do without the love. You're going to crawl right back to me. We're going to forget what I did, the reason we argued. because now I use silence as a weapon against you. So and I think people have to be very careful, because the ghosting, the blanking, the coming back, the not, it's full manipulation. And when you talk about toxic people and you talk about wounded people can heal if they want to. But you have a set of narcissistic, manipulating, controlling people, and they're not on a journey to heal. They're on a journey to take you down with them. So you got to be very careful with who you're dating, who's in your life, who's your boss, who are your friends, who are your neighbors.
Who you fix things with.
Right. Do I stay because I'm hoping I'm the savior, or is it time to walk away and save me?
Kuna kitu nilikuwa ni hiyo swali ya Bobby yenye alijibu ya huyo madam alisema kwa mtu ya 4 years na msee asemagi pole. Trust me. Huyo msee lazima anasemanga pole pale pengine kama job. Akikosea kazi anasemaga pole.
Anajua.
He knows that he needs to apologize. Just that haja register kwa kichwa yake that hata nyumbani pia anafaa kusema pole akikosea. So you need to make him know that when you wrong me, you apologize to me. You know? Do not accept that, because the moment you've shown him that it is okay for you to wrong me and not say sorry and I'll come back to talk to you, this person thinks it's okay. The day you start asking for him to say sorry, he'll think you're changing, and he'll think someone else is influencing you to change. You know? So what is your role in it? Just like I asked, what is your role in this man not saying sorry to you? Make him say sorry. You know? He needs to say sorry, because I'm sure there's somewhere else he respects authority and he says sorry. You know? And you can get professional help, you alone. You know, you don't have to be partners all the time you go to therapy together. You are an independent human being, and you don't stop being you in a relationship. Therefore, you can independently go and seek for professional help and say, I think I'm in this relationship, how do I live? Or how do I stay with this person? What do I do? Then you will be taught how to make sure their sentiments don't carry so much weight on you. You know, you will be detoxed from this person, because right now they know they have intoxicated you so much that you cannot live without their toxicity. That's why they'll wrong you and not say sorry, and you will crawl back because you're addicted to it. Right. You know, but you can seek for professional help individually if you can seek for it.
Help. True. All right. Well, we wanna end it there. Please go back and watch this on YouTube. If you're just catching it now, you can go back and watch it. We'll end by saying you need to. It is hard work to have the implosion. You hear words like I sat with myself, I thought about it, I felt the pain. Those are not just words. You actually have to do the work, and it's very hard, but it's not impossible. You can do it. Some of us are still on that journey ourselves. We're not perfect individuals, but because of information, because of the steps you took, we now know better. So it can be your story as well. You just need to seek help. I want to give a warning. If you seek help from Shazmin, get ready for hard truths.
Yes.
But do reach out. Reach out to Shazmin at Shazmin Bank. Reach out to CJ at Em as well. Reach out to Roberta Bobby. Check out her blog as well, loveandorgasms.com. Read the blog. Reach out to Shatta_boy on Instagram, Shatta Tikitaka on Twitter. And also listen to his show as well, especially if you're a youth, on Radio Citizen every weekday, 10 to 1. And then the reggae show on the weekend, Saturday night with the Reggae Brothers. Yeah, man. Yeah, man, with DJ Bling and them. Yeah, man.
We opened up now questions. So
yes.
Monday we do 3 to 7, but 1 hour is just answering everyone's questions.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can do the team. Also, that's on Hot 96.
Hot 96.
Hot 96 with Igunza, the street disciple and first officer Bensu. All right, so be good to each other out there. Look for help, and remember, no situation is permanent. No, every problem has an expiry date, and God loves you. That will never change. And successful people look like you. Still, I'm not going to add Manchester United. They look like you, because this transition time ni kujiangalia ndani. So if you look at the mirror, successful people look like you. Peace and love.